Margaret and I have been married for 7 years. On our wedding anniversary, she posted a photograph with Daniel, her childhood sweetheart. The caption read, "Some souls are meant to find each other no matter how many years pass between them." I commented, "Congratulations," underneath, and she deleted the entire post within 5 minutes. Then, right in front of all our friends, and Daniel himself, she laughed it off, saying I could never take a simple joke. If this had happened 2 years ago, I would have driven straight to that restaurant and confronted them both. Made a complete scene. But after being ignored and neglected for so long, I suddenly realized something important. I just did not care anymore. Last night was supposed to be our wedding anniversary. I took the entire day off from work and spent almost 4 hours cooking all her favorite dishes from scratch. Roasted chicken with fresh herbs. Creamy garlic mashed potatoes. The rich chocolate lava cake she always absolutely loved. By 11 o'clock at night she still had not come home. No phone calls. No text messages. Absolutely nothing from her. I tried reaching her multiple times, but every single call went straight to voicemail. Then I opened social media and saw Daniel's story update. They were at some fancy upscale bar downtown. Margaret was laughing in a way I had not seen in several years. The entire table was covered with empty cocktail glasses and wine bottles, and she looked genuinely happy. Truly happy in a way she never looked around me anymore. I stared at the food getting cold on our dining table. The candles had burned halfway down, leaving wax dripping on the holders. I was not even remotely hungry anymore. She finally walked through the door around 3 in the morning. I was in the kitchen cleaning up when she stumbled inside. She looked genuinely surprised to see the full dining setup, like she had completely forgotten what day it actually was. "Did you make all of this?" she asked while looking around. "Yeah," I said quietly without much emotion. She let out a tired sigh and dropped her expensive purse on the kitchen counter. "Sorry, Robert. Daniel just got back in town and we all got caught up reminiscing about the old times." Old times. Right. I did not say anything else. I just kept scraping the uneaten food into the trash bin. She watched me for a brief second, then just shrugged carelessly. "You are not mad at me, are you?" she asked. I looked directly at her. Why would I be mad? She blinked, clearly expecting me to explode like I always used to. But I did not. I was not angry. I was not hurt. I felt absolutely nothing inside. And that scared me more than anything else possibly could, because when you stop caring about someone, that is when you truly know it is over. Margaret and I first met during our college years. She was studying English literature and I was working toward my business degree in the School of Management. We met at a mutual friend's house party during my sophomore year. She had this incredible energy radiating from her. Confident. Charismatic. Magnetic. The kind of person who walked into any room and everyone immediately noticed her presence. I was the complete opposite of her. Quiet. Reserved. Focused on my studies and career goals. I did not go to many parties during college, but that particular night I decided to go, and I am genuinely glad I did. We started talking about classic books and authors. She told me stories about her childhood and growing up in a small rural town. How she always dreamed of moving to the big city and becoming a successful published writer someday. I told her about my plans to start my own consulting firm someday after gaining enough experience. She laughed and said I was way too serious for a 20-year-old college student, but she liked that about me. She said I was refreshingly different from all the other guys she knew. We officially started dating 3 months later. Everything felt absolutely perfect during those early days. She would show up at my dorm room with hot coffee during stressful exam season. I would drive her to poetry readings and book launches all across the city. We talked about absolutely everything together. Our future plans. Having kids someday, the kind of house we wanted to live in together. She said she wanted something cozy and charming with a big backyard for children to play in. I promised her I would give her exactly that kind of life. After graduation, we moved in together into a small apartment. I got a decent job at a respected consulting firm and worked my way up the corporate ladder steadily. Margaret got a position as a content writer for a mid-sized marketing agency. It was not her dream job of being a novelist, but she said it paid the bills while she worked on her manuscript during nights and weekends. We got married 2 years after moving in together. Small intimate ceremony. Just close friends and immediate family members attending. Margaret wore a simple, elegant white dress and looked absolutely stunning that day. I remember thinking I was the luckiest man alive in that moment. For the first few years everything was genuinely great between us. We had our comfortable daily routines. I would wake up early every morning and make us both breakfast. She would sleep in late and then work from home most days of the week. On weekends we would explore new restaurants or take spontaneous road trips to nearby cities. I truly thought we were happy together. I really genuinely did believe that. But things started changing significantly around our 4th wedding anniversary. Margaret got a major new position at her company with much more responsibility. More responsibilities meant longer hours at the office. She started coming home later and later each night. At first I did not think much of it at all. I completely understood that work could be very demanding sometimes. I was extremely busy too, trying to make senior partner at my own firm. But then she started being emotionally distant from me. We stopped having those long, deep conversations we used to have for hours. Dinner together became quiet and awkward. She would eat quickly and then immediately disappear into her home office to work on something. Or at least that is what she claimed she was doing in there. I tried to bring it up once with her, asked if everything was okay between us. She completely snapped at me, said I was being way too clingy and needy, that I needed to give her more space to breathe. So, I did exactly that. I stopped asking questions about her day. Stopped trying to plan romantic date nights for us. I focused entirely on my work and let her do her own thing. I told myself it was just a temporary phase. That we would eventually get through it together like we got through everything else before. But deep down inside I knew something fundamental had changed between us. She looked at me so differently now. Like I was an obligation or a burden instead of a true partner. Then Daniel came into the picture and changed everything. I did not know who he was at first when she mentioned him. Margaret brought him up casually one night over dinner. "Oh, Daniel is back in town now. You remember me telling you about him, right? My childhood friend from back home?" I nodded even though I honestly did not remember her ever mentioning him before. She smiled warmly, talking about how they used to spend entire summers together as kids. How he was her very first crush growing up. How they unfortunately lost touch after high school but recently reconnected through social media. I should have paid closer attention to her tone, but I did not. I was way too exhausted from work. Too emotionally numb from months of being ignored and neglected. A few weeks later I saw her texting someone late at night while lying in bed. She was smiling down at her phone in a way she had not smiled at me in many months. When I asked who it was, she said it was just a friend from work, nothing important. I did not push the issue further. I should have demanded answers, but I did not. Because part of me already knew the truth, deep down. And I was not entirely sure I wanted to actually confirm it yet. It is so much easier to live in comfortable denial, sometimes. Easier than facing the painful truth that the person you love does not love you back anymore. So I stayed completely quiet about it. I kept going to work every day. Kept making dinner every night. Kept pretending everything was fine between us, even though I knew it absolutely was not fine at all. Margaret started going out more frequently without me. Girls' night out, she would say casually. Work event with clients. Catching up with old friends from college. I never questioned any of it. I just nodded silently and watched her leave looking beautiful. Sometimes, she would not come back until the next morning. She would slip into bed quietly like I would not notice her absence. But I always noticed everything. I just did not say anything about it anymore. What was the point of fighting? She had already emotionally checked out of this marriage completely. I was just the last person to finally accept that painful reality. The real major turning point came on our 7th wedding anniversary. I had been planning something special for weeks in advance. Took the entire afternoon off work, which was rare for me. Went to the farmer's market and bought only the freshest ingredients available. Spent over 3 hours cooking elaborate dishes from scratch. I even bought an expensive bottle of wine. The kind Margaret always said she desperately wanted to try, but we never did because it cost way too much money. I carefully set the dining table with candles and our good china plates. The ones we only used for truly special occasions like holidays. I sent her a text message around 6 o'clock in the evening. Happy anniversary, sweetheart. Dinner is ready whenever you get home tonight. She did not reply at all. By 8 o'clock I started getting genuinely worried about her safety. I called her cell phone multiple times. No answer whatsoever. I sent another text message. Hey, just checking in on you. Let me know when you are heading back home. Still, absolutely nothing from her. I tried my best not to panic about it. Maybe she was stuck in a long meeting. Maybe her phone battery died. I told myself there had to be a reasonable explanation, but then I opened my social media and saw Daniel's story post. They were at a trendy bar downtown. The place was dimly lit and crowded with young people. Margaret was sitting directly across from him, laughing at something he said. Her hand was resting on the table dangerously close to his hand. Way too close for just friends. The caption said, "Reunited with my favorite person in the world." I sat there alone, staring at my phone screen. The food was getting cold and unappetizing. The candles were burning low and flickering. I felt something twist painfully in my chest, but it was not anger. It was deep disappointment. And complete exhaustion. I was so incredibly tired of being the only one trying to make this marriage work. I turned off the stove and started putting all the food away in containers. I did not even feel like eating anymore. I blew out the candles and went to bed alone. Margaret finally came home around 3 o'clock in the morning. I was not asleep at all. I heard her stumble through the front door and drop her keys loudly on the counter. She walked into the kitchen and saw the table set up. The plate still sitting out. The wine bottle unopened. She stood there, frozen for a long moment like she was trying desperately to remember something important. Then she slowly walked into the bedroom. "Did you cook all that food?" she asked quietly. "Yeah," I answered. She sat down on the edge of the bed. "I am so sorry, Robert. Daniel has been going through a really tough time lately and I was just trying to be there for him as a friend." I did not say anything back. I just stared up at the ceiling. "You are not going to say anything at all?" she asked, sounding frustrated. "What do you want me to say, Margaret?" "I do not know." "Get angry. Yell at me. Something other than silence." I turned to look directly at her. "Why would I do that? You clearly had more important things to do tonight than be with your husband." "That is not fair," she said defensively. I sat up in bed. "What is not fair, Margaret? That I spent hours cooking for our anniversary and you did not even bother to show up? Or that I had to find out where you were through social media like some stranger?" She crossed her arms. "You are being overly dramatic. It is just dinner." "Just dinner," I repeated slowly. "Right. Because that is all this is to you." She stood up abruptly. "I do not have the energy for this conversation right now, Robert. I am going to take a shower." She left the room and I heard the water start running loudly. I sat there in the dark, feeling completely hollow inside. This was my life now. Being second place to someone who did not even care enough to remember our wedding anniversary. I thought about all the times I had put her first, all the late nights I stayed up waiting for her, all the times I canceled plans with my friends because she needed something from me. And what did I get in return? Absolutely nothing. I got nothing. The next morning I woke up to an empty bed once again. Margaret had already left for work early. No note left behind. No text message. Nothing at all. I made coffee and sat alone at the kitchen table. My phone buzzed. It was my old friend from college, Samuel. He was asking if I wanted to grab lunch today. I had not seen him in many months. Margaret never liked my friends at all. She always said they were a bad influence on me, that I should focus on more important things than hanging out with them. So I gradually stopped hanging out with them. But sitting there in that cold, empty kitchen, I realized how incredibly isolated I had become. I texted him back immediately. "Yeah, lunch sounds really good." We met at a diner near my office building. Samuel looked exactly the same. Still easygoing and full of positive energy. "Man, it has been forever," he said warmly. "How is married life treating you?" I forced a smile. "It is good. Busy, but good overall." He did not look convinced at all, but he did not push the subject. We talked about work and mutual friends we had not seen. It felt so good to have a normal conversation. To laugh about stupid, meaningless things. To not feel like I was constantly walking on eggshells. When lunch ended, Samuel said we should definitely do this more often. I agreed wholeheartedly. And I genuinely meant it. That night Margaret came home early for once. She seemed to be in a surprisingly good mood. "Hey," she said cheerfully. "I was thinking we should go out this weekend. Just the two of us." I looked up from my laptop. What brought this on suddenly? I do not know. I just feel like we have not spent much quality time together lately. I almost laughed out loud. "You are just realizing that now." She frowned. "What is that supposed to mean, Robert?" "Nothing, Margaret." "Sure, let us go out this weekend." She smiled brightly. "Great. I will make a reservation at that place you like." But I knew deep down inside it did not matter at all. One dinner was not going to fix what was fundamentally broken between us. And honestly, I was not sure I even wanted to fix it anymore. The days started blending together in a monotonous cycle. I would wake up early. Go to work. Come home late. Make dinner alone. Go to bed. Repeat the exact same thing. Margaret was physically around more after the conversation, but it did not feel like things were genuinely better between us. If anything, they felt significantly worse than before. Because now I could clearly see how hard she was trying to pretend everything was perfectly fine. She would ask me boring questions about my day. Laugh at my jokes that were not even funny. Sit next to me on the couch while we watched television shows together. But it all felt so forced and fake. Like she was playing a role in a movie instead of actually being present. I started noticing little things that bothered me. How she would check her phone constantly throughout dinner. How she would smile at certain messages and quickly lock the screen when I walked by her. How she would say she was going to the gym but come back 2 hours later without looking like she worked out at all. I did not confront her about any of it. What was the point anymore? I already knew exactly what was happening behind my back, and honestly part of me did not care anymore. I was too emotionally exhausted to fight for someone who clearly did not want to be fought for. One night I was cleaning out our bedroom closet and found a shoebox tucked away in the very back corner. Inside were dozens of old photographs. Margaret and Daniel as young kids. Teenagers at the beach. Young adults at parties. They were in almost every single picture together. Arms wrapped around each other. Smiling brightly. Looking genuinely happy. There was even a photograph of them at senior prom together. She was wearing a beautiful blue dress and he was in a black tuxedo. They looked like the absolutely perfect couple. I sat there on the floor, staring at those photographs, and something finally clicked in my brain. I was never her first choice in life. I was just the safer, more stable option. The responsible guy who had a good job and could provide financial security. But Daniel was the one she really wanted all along. I was just a placeholder until he eventually came back into her life. I carefully put the photos back and closed the box. I did not mention it to Margaret at all. What would I even say to her? Hey, I found your secret shrine to your childhood crush. That would just start another exhausting fight and I did not have the energy. Instead I started focusing entirely on myself for once. I went back to the gym regularly. Started reading books again. Reconnected with old friends I had neglected. Samuel invited me to a poker night, and I actually went for the first time in years. Margaret did not even notice I was gone for hours. Or if she did notice, she did not say anything about it. It felt incredibly liberating in a way, to stop constantly waiting for her approval. To stop trying so hard to make her happy. To just exist without constantly worrying about what she thought of me. But late at night when the house was completely quiet and Margaret was asleep next to me, I would lie there awake and feel this overwhelming sadness wash over me. Not because I missed her specifically, but because I missed the idea of her. I missed the person I thought she was all those years ago. The woman I fell in love with in college. The one who stayed up late talking about dreams and future plans. The one who looked at me like I was her entire world. That person did not exist anymore, or maybe she never actually did. Maybe I just invented her in my head, because I wanted so desperately to believe in us. I started thinking about divorce seriously. Not in a dramatic emotional way. Just quietly and rationally. Like a thought that would randomly pop into my head while I was making morning coffee or sitting in traffic. What would it be like to be alone? To not have to pretend anymore. To not wake up next to someone who made me feel lonelier than actually being by myself. I did not make any concrete moves yet. I just thought about it carefully. Let the idea slowly settle in my mind. And the more I thought about it, the more sense it made. Then one Saturday afternoon, Margaret suggested we go to a dinner party together. Her colleague was hosting and she wanted us to go as a couple. I almost said no immediately, but then I figured why not. It was not like I had anything better to do. We got dressed and drove to the venue in silence. It was a nice upscale place. Lots of people I did not know at all. Margaret immediately started mingling and socializing. She was naturally good at that. Charming and outgoing and social. I grabbed a drink and found a quiet corner to stand in. I was not in the mood to make small talk with strangers. About an hour into the party I saw him across the room. Daniel. He was standing near the bar talking to someone animatedly. My stomach dropped instantly. What was he doing here? Then I saw Margaret walk up to him. She hugged him warmly. They talked. Laughed together. She looked so comfortable and natural with him. So relaxed. I watched them from across the crowded room and felt absolutely nothing inside. No jealousy. No anger. Just a quiet acceptance of reality. This was my life now. And I was completely done pretending it was something it was not. I finished my drink and walked over to them. Margaret saw me coming and her bright smile faltered for a brief second. Robert, this is Daniel. Daniel, this is my husband, Robert. Daniel extended his hand toward me. Nice to finally meet you, man. Margaret talks about you all the time. I shook his hand firmly. Likewise. Margaret looked between us nervously. Daniel just got back from overseas. He has been telling me about his travels. Sounds interesting, I said flatly. Then I excused myself and walked away. I did not want to be there anymore. I did not want to stand there and watch my wife light up around another man. I went outside and called a cab. When I got home I changed into comfortable clothes and poured myself a strong drink. Margaret came home an hour later. She walked into the living room. Why did you leave early? I did not feel well. She crossed her arms defensively. You were extremely rude to Daniel. Was I? I thought I was perfectly polite. You barely said 2 words to him. What did you want me to do, Margaret? Stand there and watch you flirt with him all night? She looked shocked. I was not flirting with him. Sure you were not. Robert, what is your problem? My problem? I stood up. My problem is that I am tired. I am tired of being ignored. I am tired of coming second to everyone and everything in your life. And I am tired of pretending like we are okay when we both know we are not. She did not say anything. She just stared at me. Then she turned and walked to the bedroom. And I stood there alone. The following week I did something I never thought I would actually do. I called a divorce lawyer. Her name was Melissa. She came highly recommended by Samuel, who had gone through a difficult divorce a few years back. We met at a quiet coffee shop downtown. She was professional and direct, no nonsense. She asked me detailed questions about my marriage and I told her absolutely everything. The emotional distance. The neglect. Daniel. Everything. She listened carefully without any judgment and took detailed notes. When I finished talking, she looked up at me. Do you want to try marriage counseling first, or are you absolutely sure about this decision? I am sure. She nodded slowly. Okay then. I will draft the paperwork. It should be ready in a few days. Just so you know, Robert, this is going to take time. Divorce is not quick, especially if your wife contests it. I understand completely. And if there is any shared property or assets that complicates things significantly. We own a house together, I said. And we have a joint bank account. She wrote that down. We will figure it all out. Do you have somewhere else you can stay in the meantime? I have a friend who offered me his guest room. Good. It is better if you are not under the same roof while this process plays out. Less emotional stress for everyone. I thanked her and left feeling lighter. That night I started packing my belongings. Not everything I owned. Just enough clothes and essentials for a few weeks. Clothes. Laptop. Personal items. Margaret was working late as usual, so I had the entire house to myself. I moved quietly through each room, taking only what I absolutely needed. It felt surreal. Like I was watching someone else's life fall apart instead of my own. I zipped up my suitcase and looked around one final time. 7 years. 7 years of memories in this house. And now I was just leaving it all behind. But it did not feel sad. It felt necessary. Like finally letting go of something I had been holding onto for way too long. I texted Samuel. Is that offer still open? His reply came immediately. Always, man. Come over. Whenever you are ready. I grabbed my things and walked out the front door. I did not leave a note explaining anything. I did not owe Margaret an explanation at this point. She would figure it out soon enough on her own. I drove to Samuel's place and he helped me carry my stuff inside. You doing okay? He asked, concerned. Honestly, I do not know. But I will be. He clapped me on the shoulder. You are doing the right thing, man. Trust me. I nodded. I hoped he was right. The next morning I woke up to 17 missed calls from Margaret. And dozens of text messages. Where are you? Why are not you home? Robert, answer your phone. This is not funny. I am worried. Call me back. I did not respond to any of them, not yet. I needed a clear head before I dealt with her. I went to work and tried to focus on my projects. My boss noticed I seemed distracted but did not push. Around noon my phone rang again. Margaret. I let it go to voicemail. She called 3 more times. Finally I answered. What do you want? Where are you, Robert? I have been calling you all morning. I am at work. Why did not you come home last night? I stayed at a friend's place. What friend? Does it matter? Yes, it matters, Robert. You just disappeared without saying anything. I could have said the exact same thing to you about the last year of our marriage, but I did not. Look, Margaret, I do not want to do this over the phone. Do what? There was panic in her voice now. Are you okay? Did something happen to you? I am fine. I just need some space right now. Space? What does that mean? It means I need time to think. About what? About us. There was complete silence on the other end. Then she spoke quietly. Robert, please come home. We can talk about this. There is nothing to talk about. Not yet anyway. I will reach out when I am ready. And I hung up. She tried calling again immediately, but I did not pick up. Instead I texted her. Please stop calling me. I will contact you when I am ready to talk. She replied immediately. Are you leaving me? I did not respond. Because I did not know what to say. Or maybe I did, but I was not ready to say it yet. I put my phone on silent and got back to work. Over the next few days, Margaret's messages became increasingly more desperate. Please talk to me. I do not understand what is happening. Whatever I did, I am sorry. Just come home, we can fix this. But I did not respond to any of them. I could not. Because every time I thought about going back, I remembered how lonely I felt in that house. How invisible. How unimportant. And I knew I could not do it anymore. Melissa called me on Friday morning. The papers are ready. Do you want to pick them up or should I mail them to you? I will pick them up today. I went to her office that afternoon and she handed me a manila envelope. This is it. Once you serve her with these, the process officially starts. Are you sure you are ready, Robert? I looked down at the envelope. Yeah. I am ready. She gave me a small smile. Good luck, Robert. You deserve better than what you have been settling for. I thanked her and left. That night I finally agreed to meet Margaret in person. She suggested a restaurant. Somewhere, neutral and public. I got there first and sat at a corner table. She walked in 10 minutes later. She looked tired. Worried. Stressed. She sat down across from me and tried to smile. Hi, Robert. Hi. There was an awkward silence. Then she spoke. Robert, I do not know what is going on, but I want to fix it. Whatever I did, I am sorry. I just need you to talk to me. I reached into my bag and pulled out the envelope. I slid it across the table. Her eyes widened. What is this? Open it. She did. I watched her face as she read through the papers. Her expression went from confusion to shock to devastation. You want a divorce? Yes. Why? Because I am not happy, Margaret. And I have not been for a long time. Tears filled her eyes. Is this because of Daniel? It is because of everything. The neglect. The lies. The fact that I feel more alone with you than I do by myself. We can fix this, she said desperately. We can go to counseling. I will do whatever it takes. It is too late for that. Please, Robert. Do not do this. I am sorry. But I am done. I stood up and left her sitting there. I did not look back. Because if I did, I knew I might change my mind. The week immediately after I served Margaret with divorce papers was absolute chaos. She called constantly throughout the day. Sent messages at all hours of the night. Showed up at my office building multiple times. My assistant had to physically turn her away twice. She even went to Samuel's place and banged on the door until he threatened to call the police. She was completely unraveling and part of me felt genuinely bad. But the bigger part knew this was absolutely necessary. She needed to understand that I was serious. That this was not some game or power move. I was actually leaving her for good. Then things escalated dramatically. Margaret started posting on social media constantly. Cryptic messages about betrayal and heartbreak. About giving everything to someone who threw it away without a second thought. Her friends flooded the comments with support. Asking what happened. If she was okay. Offering to help. She played the victim role perfectly. And I let her. Because I did not need to defend myself to people who did not know the full story. The people who mattered knew the truth. Everyone else did not matter to me at all. About 2 weeks in, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. Hello, Robert. It was Daniel. I should have hung up immediately, but curiosity got the better of me. What do you want, Daniel? I need to talk to you. About what exactly? About Margaret. I laughed bitterly. You have got some nerve calling me. Look, man, I know this is weird, but just hear me out. Can we meet somewhere? Fine. Where? There is a coffee shop on Maple Street. I will be there in an hour. Fine. I showed up early and ordered a black coffee. Daniel walked in exactly an hour later. He looked uncomfortable. Good. He sat down across from me. Thanks for meeting me. Get to the point, Daniel. I do not have all day. He took a deep breath. I need you to call off the divorce. Excuse me. Margaret is a mess. She has not been eating. Barely sleeping. She is falling apart. And that is my problem. How? Because you are her husband. You are supposed to take care of her. I stared at him. Are you serious right now? You are the one who has been circling her like a vulture for months, and now you are lecturing me about being a good husband. That is rich. It is not like that. Then what is it like, Daniel? Enlighten me. He looked down. Margaret and I have history. I know that. But she chose you. She married you. And now you are just throwing that away. I leaned forward. Let me tell you something. I spent 7 years trying to make that woman happy. 7 years of putting her first. Of ignoring my own needs. Of pretending like everything was fine when it clearly was not. And you know what I got in return? Nothing. She emotionally checked out of our marriage the second you came back into her life. So do not sit there and tell me I am the bad guy for finally choosing myself. Daniel did not respond. He just sat there looking guilty. I stood up. If Margaret is falling apart, that is on her. Not me. And if you care about her so much, maybe you should be the one picking up the pieces. I left him sitting there and walked out. I felt lighter. Like I had finally said everything I needed to say. But the drama did not end there. A few days later I got a call from Melissa, my lawyer. We have a problem, Robert. What kind of problem? Margaret is contesting the divorce. She is claiming you abandoned her. That there is still a chance for reconciliation. Of course, she is. She has also hired a lawyer. A very good one apparently. So what does that mean for me? It means this is going to get messy. She is going to fight this hard. Try to drag it out as long as possible. We need to be prepared. Fine. Do whatever you need to do. There is something else. What? She is claiming you had an affair. What? I have never cheated on her, I know that. But she is saying you have been seeing someone. She mentioned a woman named Melissa. I froze. She thinks I am having an affair with you. Apparently. Look, Robert, this is a common tactic. She is trying to make you look bad. Trying to shift the blame. We will handle it. Just stay calm and do not engage with her. Okay. That night, Margaret showed up at Samuel's place again, but this time I was actually there. She knocked on the door loudly and Samuel looked at me. You want me to send her away? No, I will talk to her. I opened the door. Margaret was standing there with red puffy eyes. She looked terrible. Can we talk, Robert? Fine. But not here. Let us go for a walk. We walked to a nearby park and sat on a bench. She spoke first. Why are you doing this, Robert? Because I deserve better than this. Better than me. Better than being ignored. Better than feeling like I am constantly competing for your attention. I am not asking you to understand. I am just asking you to sign the papers and let me move on. I cannot do that. Why not? Because I love you. I laughed. No, you do not, Margaret. You love the idea of me. The stability. The safety. But you do not actually love me. That is not true. Then prove it. Tell me one thing you have done in the last year that made me feel loved. One thing. She opened her mouth but nothing came out. Exactly. I stood up. Sign the papers, Margaret. Stop dragging this out. We are over. She grabbed my arm. What if I end things with Daniel? What if I cut him out completely? Will you stay then? It is not about Daniel. It is about you. About the fact that you only care now that I am leaving. Where was this effort a year ago? 6 months ago? Even 3 months ago? It is too late. Tears streamed down her face. Please, Robert. I will do anything. I pulled my arm away. Goodbye, Margaret. And I walked away. This time I did not feel guilty. I felt free. The next morning I woke up to a text message from an unknown number. It was a photograph. Margaret and Daniel. At a hotel lobby. The timestamp was from 2 nights ago. Right after our conversation at the park. The same night she begged me to stay. The same night she said she would do anything. I forwarded the photo to Melissa with a simple message. I think this will help our case. She replied immediately. Oh, it definitely will. I will file a motion to expedite the divorce based on infidelity. This changes everything, Robert. I set my phone down and smiled. Margaret had just made this a whole lot easier. The photograph changed absolutely everything. Melissa filed a motion, and within 3 weeks, we had a court date scheduled. Margaret's lawyer tried desperately to argue that the photo was taken out of context, but it did not matter at all. The timestamp did not lie. She had been with Daniel at a hotel the same exact night she begged me to reconsider our marriage. The judge was not impressed at all. The divorce was finalized exactly 1 month later. Quick. Clean. No alimony because we both worked full-time. The house was sold and we split the proceeds equally. I took my half and put a down payment on a small condo downtown. Something that was just mine. No shared memories. No ghosts haunting me. Margaret tried reaching out a few times after the divorce was officially finalized. Late-night texts. Voicemails. Saying she made a huge mistake. That she wanted me back desperately. I blocked her number. I did not need closure from her. I had already found it within myself. Samuel threw me a divorce party. Called it a freedom celebration. My friends showed up. We drank. Laughed. It felt so good to be surrounded by people who actually cared about me. People I had pushed away because Margaret made me feel like I had to choose between her and them. I realized how much I had isolated myself. How small my world had become trying to keep her happy. Never again. A few months later I ran into Daniel at a grocery store. He looked uncomfortable when he saw me. Tried to avoid eye contact, but I walked right up to him. Daniel. Robert. Hey. How is Margaret doing? I asked casually. He shifted awkwardly. She is good. We are actually together now. Officially. Good for you both. He seemed surprised by my response. You are not mad at all. Why would I be? You two deserve each other. He did not know how to respond to that. I grabbed my groceries and left. I did not feel angry. I did not feel anything. And that is how I knew I had truly moved on. Work became my primary focus. I threw myself into projects. Started staying late. Taking on bigger clients. My boss noticed my dedication. Promoted me to senior partner. The pay increase was significant. I bought a new car. Started traveling. Went to places I had always wanted to visit but never did because Margaret was not interested. I went to Japan, Italy, Thailand. I took photos. Tried new food. Met new people. I started living instead of just existing. Around 6 months post-divorce, I went to a work conference. That is where I met her. Melissa. Not my lawyer. A different Melissa. She was a keynote speaker. Brilliant. Funny. Confident. We got to talking at the networking event afterward. She was easy to talk to. No games. No pretense. Just genuine conversation. We exchanged numbers. Started texting. Then calls. Then video chats. She lived in another city but we made it work. Flew back and forth on weekends. It was refreshing. Being with someone who actually wanted to spend time with me. Who made an effort. Who did not make me feel like I was asking for too much by wanting basic attention and respect. 1 year after my divorce I was having dinner with Samuel. He asked how I was doing. Honestly. I am happy. Like genuinely happy. He smiled. You deserve it, man. You really do. You know what the crazy part is? What? I do not even think about Margaret anymore. She is just a chapter in my life that is closed. He raised his glass. To close chapters and new beginnings. I clinked my glass against his. To new beginnings. Then my phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to check. It was Margaret. I know you probably do not want to hear from me, but I needed to reach out. Daniel and I broke up. He was not who I thought he was. I made a huge mistake, Robert. I should have fought harder for us. I should have appreciated you when I had you. I do not expect you to forgive me, but I needed you to know that I am sorry. I truly am. You deserved so much better than how I treated you. I hope you are happy. I hope you found someone who sees your worth. Because you are an amazing person and I was a fool to let you go. I am sorry for everything. I read the message twice. Felt nothing. Then I deleted it. I did not block the number. I did not respond. I just deleted it and went back to my conversation with Samuel. He noticed. Everything okay? Yeah. Everything is perfect. And I meant it. Because Margaret's apology did not matter anymore. It did not change anything. She could be sorry. She could regret everything. But that was her burden to carry. Not mine. I had moved on. Built a new life. Found actual happiness. And nothing she said or did could take that away from me. A few weeks later Melissa flew into town. We spent the weekend exploring the city. Trying new restaurants. Laughing until our sides hurt. On Sunday night we were walking through the park. She stopped and looked at me. What? I am just happy, she said. Me too. She took my hand. You know you are different from anyone I have ever met. How so? You are present. Like actually present. It is rare. I smiled. I learned the hard way how important that is. We kept walking hand in hand. And for the first time in years I felt content. Not because I had someone new. But because I had found myself again. I had remembered who I was before I lost myself trying to make someone else happy. I had learned that I deserved more than scraps of attention. That I deserved to be someone's priority, not their backup plan. Margaret taught me a valuable lesson. Sometimes the person you love the most is the one who hurts you the deepest. But that pain can be transformative. It can break you down or build you up. I chose the latter. I chose to walk away. To rebuild. To demand better. And in doing so I found something Margaret could never give me. Peace. Real genuine peace. The kind that comes from knowing your worth and refusing to settle for less. She is probably still out there somewhere. Maybe with someone new. Maybe alone. I do not know. And honestly, I do not care. Because her story is no longer part of mine. I closed that book. Put it on the shelf. And started writing a new one. One where I am the main character. Where I am valued. Respected. Loved. And that is the greatest revenge of all. Not making her regret losing me. But genuinely not caring that she did.